Goddesses in Old High German. In this video, we'll go over the many words for goddess in Old High German. The interesting thing about these words that I will go over in this video, they have a Greco-Roman influence, as well as, obviously some Christian influence, but the interesting thing to bear in mind is that despite these influences I mentioned, the way they are expressed in Old High German is still, I repeat, still done through a Germanic pagan rhetoric. Like the expression of it is still natively Germanic in a pagan context. And an example of this in, let's say, Old English sources, for example, in Cadman's hymn, like the way they would describe Christianity would be still through a pagan vocabulary. Well, the same can be said with Old High German words when describing different goddesses or different ideas. It's still done through a pagan vocabulary. Anyway, that out of the way, let's carry on. Göttin, Göttin, Göttinna, Göttinna. Goddess. Wheel salida, wheel salida. And this word, or should I say, or name, if you will, is, I would think, the Old High German expression of the Greco-Roman goddess, or Roman goddess, Fortuna, a goddess of luck and fortune. Well, to go deeper into the wording of this in Old High German, is that the wheel part is actually cognate to our English word while. Like, I was here for a while, I was here for a time. If I were to reconstruct this, as I have down here, to an older form, it would be, with the H there, be wheel salida. Wheel salida. So yeah, if I were to literally translate it, it would be saying like while happiness, while luck, if you will, or time luck, or fortune, or what have you. So anyway, let's move on. Willmacht. Willmacht. And this is a goddess of health, if one would say, perhaps, because the thing is, the literal meaning of this name is or word, if you will, is Willmacht, literally meaning will might, and this is a Old High German rendition of the Roman goddess of Valetudo, and this Roman goddess is based off of the Greek goddess of Hygeia. Anyway, that Greek goddess is a goddess of health, cleanliness, and healing. And here we have the Latin Valetudo, which is the Latin rendition, and then we have the Willmacht, is the Old High German expression of this goddess. Genucht. Genucht. And this word, it literally means plenty, abundance, riches, if you will. My dictionary says here, allegedly, this is a goddess of plenty, abundance, whatnot. As the name would suggest, this name in meaning is like saying enough in English. It's like saying sufficient in English, or enough. Related in meaning of genug, genug in German, or genug in Old English, meaning enough and whatnot. So yeah, so this is a goddess of plenty, abundance. Whether this is a native Germanic goddess or Greco-Roman influence, I don't know. However, my dictionary has this word as a meaning a goddess of plenty, abundance, so there we are. Werde Göttin. Werde Göttin. Now, this name or word for goddess, goddess of hunting, the word Werde, it means a few things. It can mean pasture, it can mean capture, it can also mean hunt. So in this context, it means hunt, so literally hunt goddess. Salb smisa. Salb smisa. This is, in my dictionary, it says goddess of ointment. So the first part means ointment, and the second part, the smisa, that is from a verb which later became in German as schmeißen. Yeah, schmeißen, or yeah, I believe it's pronounced like that. Anyway, so the older context of this, the verb where this second part comes from, it means to smear. So literally, this word is ointment smearer, if you will. And for the later verb that I mentioned, yeah, schmeißen, that means to throw, to fling. Here we have a direct Greco-Roman influence of Himmel Juno, Himmeljuno, Himmeljuno, Himmeljuno. As my dictionary says, celestial goddess. Basically, literally meaning sky Juno, or heaven Juno, or heaven Juno. So yeah, this is pretty interesting. How the Greco-Roman influence affects Old High German and how that would manifest and whatnot. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Himmelfroa. Himmelfroa. This is literally heaven lady or sky lady. The word froa here, yes, it means lady, but in the context of a royal title, like lord and lady. And I would think this word may likely be a Christian influence, whereas like the Queen of Heaven, I believe, making a reference to Mary, if I'm correct, and whatnot. Anyway, so yeah, again, with Old High German, the way they would express other ideas, whether it's Christianity or Greco-Roman deities, it's still done through a native Germanic, native Old High German of expressing it. So literally sky lady or heaven lady, if you will. Anyway, let's move on. Korngeber. Korngeber. This is literally corn giver. The thing is, the word corn here, it's not the way we would think of it, because when we think of corn, we think of really maize, and maize is a specific kind of crop, whereas corn back then refers to a seed. It could refer to crops, really, and like, or in some cases it means a berry. So just to let you guys know that when you see the word corn in these older languages, it does not mean maize. It's more than that. All right, so let's move on. Next we have Hellawinna. 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 The literal translation of this is hell winner, if you will, but like the context of winning or win is actually different, because the word winna here in Old High German, it means quarrel, because like what it means to win back then is it means to fight, it means to strive, it means to in some contexts it means to take, if you will, it means to labor. In the context of this is a Greco-Roman influence, or an Old High German expression of a Greco-Roman influence of a fury, if you will. This is in the Greco-Roman. I think fury is a Greek legend. How these beings, metaphysical beings, they're the ones who avenge victims, if you will. That's one way of putting it. So we have this Old High German expression of Hellawinna. Hellawinna. So literally hell quarrel, if you will. And this is in the feminine, so because we have the final A to denote a female agent. Moving on. Hagatsusa. Hagatsusa. And like the word before, this is another synonym for the same thing, a fury. The Old English cognate to this word is hachtesa, and outside of the Greco-Roman influence, the word means a hag or witch. So yeah, not a very positive word. And so a goddess of revenge, again, a goddess of vengeance, if you will. And this is one of the words to express that in Old High German, if you will. Anyway, moving on. Bagalin. Bagalin. Now this word, like the two words before, it's another synonym for fury, a goddess of vengeance. The Latin gloss, I believe here, is Erinus, which is a goddess that does that, or a metaphysical being that does that. But as for the word itself, I mean, the word bag, it means like fight or quarrel, if you will. And baga, a variant of the same word, but bagal, the translation is talkative. And then we have the in, and that's a suffix applied to make something feminine. For example, in German today, if you want to say queen, you would say Königin. Forgive me for my bad German pronunciation, but the idea is that you take something that's masculine and then putting an in at the end of it to make it feminine. Or, I guess the word could be originally neuter, and then putting the in after it would make it feminine. Anyway, so this word here literally means fighting woman, or she who fights or whatnot, because it's all about conflict, and it goes in accordance with a fury, if you will, or Erinus, a goddess of vengeance, or what have you. So yeah, Bagalin. Sangguten. This is goddess of singing, or literally song goddess, and this is in reference to a Greco-Roman deity of muse, if you will. So pretty straightforward. So yeah, let's go on. Florsgeber. Now this is a weird one because it's according to my dictionary it means goddess of menstruation. Okay, cool. The first part, flos, means river, or flow, or float, depending on the context. And the second part means literally giver. Anyway, let's move on. Hifurga. Now, this name, or word of a goddess, the first part, he, means family, it means marriage, of that connotation. And furga is literally joiner. So, family joiner, and according to my dictionary it's like goddess of marital intercourse or what have you. So family joiner, marriage joiner, if you will, and I guess intercourse is a way of cementing it, if you will, I guess. Anyway, let's move on. Urlaga. And this is interesting because the literal translation of this is outlay. And the second part is outlay one, because the final A denotes a female agent. And according to my dictionary, it says goddess of fate or destiny. And which is interesting because normally, and according to Norse sources, that is what the Urthur in the Norse, her and the other figures, they create or lie, if you will, or lay, if I were to literally translate it into present day English. It's funny how in the old High German sources that orlai itself, or urlag, means goddess of fate and destiny. So that's pretty cool. Skepfara. Skepfaren. Skepfenta. And this is interesting, another word for goddess of fate and destiny. But the interesting thing about this word is that it literally means shaper. And in Christian sources, that's how they would express, that would be the native Germanic way of expressing creator in the Christian context, because the word create is not a Germanic word, it's a Latin word. And it's funny how this term for shaper, if you will, is used to mean goddess of fate and destiny. Interesting. Salida. And this means goddess of happiness, luck, similar to the previous one of wheel, salida. Now it's just salida, so directly about happiness and luck and whatnot. So whether this is a native expression or a Greco-Roman influence, I don't know, but a cool word though. Let's move on. Liutfroa. National goddess. So this is interesting. So this is like a goddess that would represent a specific tribe, as the word suggests, because Liut, it evolved into later modern German Leute, meaning people, and then the second part, again, of Froa, that word means lady, in the context of a royal title, so lord and lady. So yeah, so people, lady. Anyway, let's move on. Wiegeguten. And this is literally war goddess, and this is a old High German expression of the, I guess, Roman goddess Bellona, I would think, because the word bell in Latin, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, means war in Latin, and here we have the old High German expression of this war goddess. So literally, war goddess Wiegüten. So yeah, moving on. Unforachta. My dictionary regarding this word says eine Güten in it, so I guess it's referring to a goddess in some shape or form. Because the German word next to eine Göttin before it is like furchtlos, meaning fearless. So, but this word in particular, if I were to translate it literally, it would be unfeared one. So unfeared one. So my rendition, or if you will, of the meaning of this name or word, if you will, would be goddess of bravery. Since the dictionary that I used to make this video says eine Göttin, so basically unfeared one or goddess of bravery. However, and even then, it's a cool epithet. So let's move on. And that is it for this video. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you're new, and if you really like the channel, please become a patron at my Patreon page down below. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.